I have been on stage with some of the most amazing gospel artists ever. But when they get off that stage, they don't feel a responsibility to be anything more.
I've absolutely made 3 non-believers worth amount of sin. I will say that historically, I agree with you. There has been a level of it's a show. I was hoping that at some point, some elder would see me chopping away and be like, son, this is how you do it. And it never came.
Yeah, never came from me either. Shout out to you, Kirk Franklin. Where was you at?
You know, I low-key got mad at Kirk.
I did too.
Here's the crazy part.
So I gotta ask it, and you can plead the fifth if you want to. You are successful, Christian, and yet not a married man. Like, what is the why? Do you have a why?
This is The Deep End with Lecrae.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got, I don't even know how we articulate who this man is because he does a lot of things. Now, I'll never tell him this to his face because I pick at him and I joke with him all the time. But he is an inspiration to me. He gives me hope for gospel music, for Christian music in general, because he is somebody who cares about the word, cares about the truth that goes into the music. He's a thinker. He's a leader. He's a scholar. Don't sleep on him. He's an incredible musician. The likes of, I mean, you name the musicians in society have given him his praise, from R&B to gospel to you name it, neo soul. They give him his, you know, all of his stripes. He's got some Grammys. He's got lots of awards. Okay, but that's besides the point. He would like you to know that he is the best shooter in Christian music, that he can shoot the basketball better than anyone in Christian music. That's what he would like you to know. So did I do a good job?
That was fantastic.
Okay. And you still hold to this shooting belief?
Oh, yeah. Well,
okay.
Actually, it's been expanded.
Oh.
Because I did start off saying I have the best jumper.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was giving other people, the Travis Greens, the Jabari Johnsons, the Lecraes, room to do other things better.
Okay.
But then I got on Instagram Live with the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. And he said, prophetically. I'm thinking that is prophetic insight. He said, Jonathan, you are the greatest gospel basketball player of all time. So not just shooter, not just jumper, but player of all time. And that's what I carry. That's the swag that I walk in here with. I'm not in here on God's love or grace or mercy. I'm in here completely inflated by my basketball skills. Yeah.
Which makes sense, because if Steph Curry said that to you, how can you not
What
be?
am I going to do?
Right.
I mean, I don't even have to prove it no more. I mean, that was what we live up. That's what we do it for.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
I ain't going to get a trophy ever. That is my trophy.
That's pretty high praise, actually,
as
I think about it. Yeah, that's pretty high praise. No, man, you do a lot, and there's a lot we could talk about. People know you for your music, obviously, but you wrote a book, and so let me get my teacup
your cup
away
was covering it. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Which we were talking about a little earlier. Like it's actually a pretty timely message. It's like, shoot, like this brother did not have to write this, and you wrote it. You know what I'm saying? Why now? Why'd you write it? What made you do it?
I mean, what makes any of us artists do anything, man? I think that there's always like, first of all, a big dose of personal stuff happening. There's also some artistic inspiration happening at the same time. And I think, and then obviously there's an opportunity to now do it. Opportunity to actually publish a book and have some movement behind it. And so I think all of that came together somewhere in like 2022. And since then, I have been setting out on trying to put all that together. My life experiences, my prayer, what was around me, the actual nature that was happening all around. And yeah, looking at people like you, looking at people like, people that I think are great. First of all, you mess with me all the time. And I just want everybody to know that I don't know the Lecrae that you know, but I have a big brother named Lecrae. And Lecrae is mean to me. And so one of the first things I was going to do when I got on here, I was going to make sure that I softened him up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
And told him how I feel as well. And I thank you for saying all the things you said, man, truly. Because you are one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, man.
And you changed the game. And you created such a blueprint for so much business, being an artist, in his prime, helping other artists get to theirs. So even this past Grammy season, when I'm happy that I got a Grammy, but Doe got a Grammy, and she's an artist that I signed. And so when I look at that and I say, one of the biggest legacies that Lecrae has, not only obviously the music, and I came in around rehab, the way you have galvanized your industry, your genre, and put a machine and wheels and wind underneath it, man, you are incredible.
Oh, man.
You are incredible.
That was a dope way to flex that you signed somebody who won a Grammy.
Oh
that
my
was
God.
an amazing way
see
to
how
do
you just
that.
how you find the trash in that treasure? How do you do that? You see how he is?
No, for
he
real.
can't help it. He over here blushing.
I appreciate it, man. No,
No.
sincerely, bro. Thank you,
No,
man.
but seriously, I really mean that. Like,
Wow.
Like it's this stuff has moved so quickly that I forget that there was a time, and I'm with my one of my longest friends, best friends. She remembers riding in the car, the RAV4 with me while I'm listening to New Reality and We Are Children of the Light and all that stuff like that. So I mean, like, for a second, let me just pause and say that I'm sitting across from one of the greatest of all times. You don't look like you've been in the game as long as you have, but man, you've made a lot of changes. You've covered a lot of ground, and it's my honor, man, to sit here.
Wow. Thank you, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, I'm buying somebody. First person to send me a message in my DM, I'm going to buy you this book because of what he just did. Because I'm going to bless somebody. I'm going to pay that for it. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, and I mean that.
Yeah,
I really do.
That means a lot.
I really do. Now, on the court, I heard you kind of weak for your size, but I mean, like,
I'll be honest with you. I used to be pretty amazing. 2019, I think age really did catch up with me. And I just, when KB was beating me, I was like, what is happening?
I heard that that humans don't age gradually as much as we think. But at 34, 60, and 78, we take real hard hits. So was that around 34?
Yeah, I was definitely in my past a little bit past 34.
A little bit,
but yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But yes.
Somewhere in that spot.
Yes.
And I just got past it, and I'm feeling it. Like,
bro, I was not. But see, I was a slasher and a driver.
Okay.
And so that was my problem. I didn't lean on the J as much as I should have.
Oh, no, I've been playing like Kobe after the surgery.
That's what I
for a long time.
I should have did that. I didn't do that. And then I woke up and was like, oh, I got to change the whole thing.
Yeah, man. But I'm sorry, man. But I just wanted to say that, man. You seriously are great. There has to be some part of seeing who Lecrae is and wanting to be that good that I'm sure pushed me farther up the mountain.
Wow.
And so
we wrote this book together is what you're saying.
Pretty much. You inspired it, man.
That's what's up. I appreciate that.
I'm dead serious.
No, I know you are. And I know it means a lot. Look,
we got
for
a
real.
sarcastic relationship, but I'm dead serious,
I know.
bro.
I know. Like, trust me, this is somebody who we've had real combos. We talked about real life. And so that means a lot actually coming from you. And
Thank you, man.
The same type of dynamic me and Kirk have. It's the same thing. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it, man. It's funny too, as you're even talking about that.
He softened up now.
Nah, but I'm just saying, like, you're talking about that, and I'm thinking, like, you've been around long enough to hear my journey, and I didn't really, like, my 10,000 hours came in the game. It wasn't before. Like, a lot of artists, they come before, and I think we're similar in that way. Like, your 10,000 hours didn't come. You kind of stumbled into music, which
Absolutely,
is
man.
wild. So, I mean, give us a little snapshot of how that happened, and then like I got a couple questions like in terms of that, like that I'm curious about for you.
Yeah, man. One of the things I really had to like investigate or admit or whatever, even while writing this book is, we all have these mountains that we start climbing, these careers, these ministries, whatever that we start to climb. And even though it has the capacity to kill us while we up there, God is the one that starts a lot of these climbs. Like God, like why am I tripping? Why am I burned out when you the one that started this? Like he literally started this. I didn't stumble into music. I've been doing that for a minute, but the music business or being an artist doing that for sure. Moving from just making music in my dorm room for my friends to hear, for my family to hear, not thinking that much of it. To singing in front of a lot of people, like he threw me in the deep end. Like I know you've been to Chicago, like New Life, Pastor Hannah. That was my first show. That was my first time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh, so we just on, and so first time preaching was at Marvin Winans church. It's always deep end stuff.
Swim, boy.
First time acting was number one on the call sheet. Learn how to do it all. So I mean, like I think the 10,000 hours, the reps, has absolutely happened in front of people so hard, man. And I think that imposter syndrome creating environment is a lot of why a lot of us climb a little too high and stay a little too high on that mountain. We don't ever come down because we know that, well, we don't know, but we feel like we don't deserve to be up here anyway. It's like, what the heck am I doing? How are y'all buying this? I just figured this out. I'm on my 2,000th hour. You know what I'm saying? I have not mastered this at all. And you guys are expecting me to go live with it and even lead others and be a model for others. All that stuff, all that responsibility, man, it pushes you farther up into that rarefied, cold, lonely air. And so now in this season, I'm really just trying to rectify that all for myself, man.
Yeah, so that leads into what I'm thinking through too. Actually, I just changed what I was going to ask you because you said something about that, like climbing up into that cold, lonely air. And a lot of people, I heard Oprah say the reason why Gail is one of her best friends is because when the air started to change, a lot of people couldn't breathe it, but Gail could. What is that air? And like, what did you see in others in this rise to notoriety? Like, what were you starting to see on this climb, this mountain climb? What are you seeing around you? What's the reality that because a lot of people don't know. Like, we talk about it casually because we live it. But for somebody who's like, what do you mean? What's going on? What's happening?
Well, okay, there's two different ways to go about that. One, yes, there is a certain like success that is happening and it's changing who's around you. You see different type of people. You see less people. You're seen less. You got to think about it like on a mountain, if everybody's climbing, how many people actually can see you from a level place? Almost everybody's either looking down at you or up at you.
Ooh-wee.
So they're not really understanding who you are, how you're feeling. They're just seeing you as somebody below them or somebody where they want to be. And so all of that, it just takes away from the intimacy of life that we really need, man. And that isolation, man, that's the craziest part. Because no matter how full, I was when I was writing the book, I was studying how other mountain climbers did it, like real mountain climbers, like what's their life. And one of the crazy things about it is they half the time when they're climbing up Everest, there's like 100 people up there with them. Yet they say you feel very alone. You feel very alone. And it's like, how do you feel alone if everybody, all these people are up there?
Climbing.
It's because everybody's operating at the extent of their limitations. So when I get to a red carpet, I'm not meeting Lecrae. I'm meeting Lecrae operating at the extent of his limitations.
Wow.
He's smiling even when he doesn't feel like it. He's making up stuff to say to the press even when he doesn't feel like it. He's thinking about this new song that he's about to debut in front of all these people, even though it's going to be difficult, and he's nervous if they're even going to accept it. He's operating at the limits of his ability. And so I'm not saying, hey, what's up, Lecrae? And he's giving me regular Lecrae-ness. He's giving me tired or on the mountain Lecrae-ness, occupied Lecrae-ness. And I think that all of that can make a lot of us feel like we're not seen and we're by ourselves. And then what do you do in response to that? Sometimes that can really jack you up.
Yep. It's funny you mentioned that, right? Like, this climb is really people looking up at you or looking down at you, and people aren't able to see you for who you really are. And it feels lonely because it's comfortable to connect with somebody who doesn't have any airs about them. They don't have anything else going on in terms of like celebrity or anything like that, until it gets awkward when you realize they're not looking at you, they're looking up, right?
Sure.
In those, I've had some moments like that, right? And then there's also moments where you're hanging out with somebody and you're fighting to not look up. Like you're like, oh my God, I'm hanging out.
It's not look at, don't show that you looking up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are you seeing in yourself during this time period? Like, what is it disorienting for you as you're navigating all of this?
Well, I think so let me really kind of explain the book and the climb a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it isn't specifically about success.
Sure.
It's about how much you pursue it. It's
Okay,
about
that's
how hard. I mean, you know it. We spend 50 hours, 100 hours making 1 hour of music. You know what I'm saying? It's not even how successful that music is that takes us up the mountain. It's the just pursuing it whatsoever. It's locking yourself in the studio. It's saying, y'all get away from me. I got to write this, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff pushes you up the mountain as well. Even if you aren't successful, there's people who don't have any of the plaques that you have that are so high up on that dang on mountain, they are dying.
That's right.
And we're trying to, hey, bro, come down. Please just humble yourself and just, you're okay. It's going to be okay. Like, let God do some of the work.
Right.
And so first of all, it's not just, oh, Jonathan, I see you higher up on your mountain. No, it's what I did in response to what was happening around me that made me continue to lose myself in the work, in the pursuit. Now I am becoming just an artist and not a person. You know what I'm saying? I'm having to be Jonathan McReynolds, an artist, and not so much Jonathan Caleb McReynolds, who almost was called Shadrach and is normally called Johnny or Jono back home. That guy, I couldn't engage with him quite as much because life was always calling me to kind of posture up and be poised and show up as something. And so this book is all about, and this season, honestly, for me, is understanding I don't have to do that. Maybe sometimes, but I don't have to live there. And the problem is a lot of us are pitching tents and living up there.
Right.
And I'm just trying to push people a little towards the valley where there's lushness, there's green, there's a river down there. It ain't as bad as you think.
Okay. Give me, like, what's happening in your life when you realize this? Like, what are you seeing? Are you like, man, I'm on flight after flight? What's going on in your world to where you're like, wait, what the heck am I doing?
Well, in December of that year, I pretty much kind of had a breakdown. I had gotten off of, at least at that point, the largest gospel or Christian tour ever. I was singing, it was Mav and Kirk and all that other stuff. And it was a 30-some date tour. Every date was pretty much an arena. It was incredible. While I was doing it, I got kind of notorious for getting off the stage and going back to my RV and recording my record. I was recording my truth. I had Marvin Winans on the RV. I had Kirk on the RV, Chan on the RV. Everybody was on the RV. As soon as I got done, I'm working on this record. And so much was happening, even relationally. It's like, I'm trying to keep that up. And I'm trying to figure out how this long distance thing is going to work. And what's the actual what's the word? How high can it go? Like what's the
scale,
the
height,
potential
yeah.
of this whole thing? My Lord, see, that was I need coffee moment. Edit it out. But no, how much potential do I, even see in this, and how hard do I need to work for it? So there's just so many things, and then showing up for people. I'm still uncle. I'm still kind of the man of the family. I'm still doing a lot of things, man. And so all of it was just hitting me hard. And so I talk about in the book this moment where I was in like a musical, and I had an Airbnb near where the musical was happening. And I was looking forward to my then girlfriend. She said she's about to make some beef stew for me, because she seen me make my beef stew, and she's an incredible cook.
But you're not with her right now.
No.
Yeah.
And so
you heard that, y'all.
See, why you always gotta do that?
Go ahead, man. My fault.
I'm trying to.
You're giving us some deep, heartfelt, meaningful stuff, and I'm just listen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Sabotage.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. And so basically, long story short, I just went off. You know what I'm saying? I was upset, and it was one of probably a few just kind of like blow ups where I just was like, I was losing it, man. I couldn't sleep. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out, how do adults do this? I'm like, do I need to take an edible or something and go to sleep? Like, what I need to do? Like, do I need a shot before? I mean, what needs to happen? Because I felt so discombobulated, so messed up, to the point that one night I just was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I called Pastor Jamal Bryant. I was supposed to be singing this church. I said, hey, man, I'm sorry, I can't come. I was supposed to be in a movie. I was like, hey, I just can't do it. And there was plenty of other stuff that was going on and that I just canceled. And for somebody like me, I don't know how you are.
Driven.
That feels terrible. You might as well just kill me now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tell me that you don't ever want to see me now. You know what I'm saying? My career is over because I just canceled. And that's how I felt, but I could not do it. What I was afraid of, honestly, was that at some point I was going to get on somebody's mic and have a real viral moment. I felt that angry. I felt that resentful. I felt that explosive. That what's next? What else happens? Is this what precedes this or that? Like, is this my TMZ moment? Like, is this my shade room moment? Is this my, we find him in rehab moment? Like, what happens? Like, that's how ridiculous I felt. And I didn't want that to happen on the road, on tour, on set. And so I just started to just kind of rid myself of a lot of the work and pause. And I realized just how like injured I was. Like this climb, it looks good and everybody's like, oh, go ahead. Yeah, you killing it. Because the climb, it was yielding some good results. But man, I was injured. Yeah. My hands were scarred up. My feet, looked at my hands and they didn't look new. Looked at my feet and they didn't too. And so, it's just like I have really jacked myself up. And even as people thought I was killing the game. Yeah. So many postable moments. One thing I couldn't post was my own health and heart.
So, first of all, thank you for sharing that. Now I'm curious, like, is anybody, does
if the edible worked, that's what you're curious about?
No.
Okay.
No. I know if they work or not, okay? First of all, I know. But what I'm curious is, like, those who knew you, your closest people who knew you, what were they saying? Were they saying, yo, time for therapy? Or were they like, oh, you'll be all right. You got money or you got fame. You'll be fine. Like, what is their perception of you during this time period?
That's a good question.
Or did you mask it so well that they couldn't see it?
I think there's a lot of masking a lot of times that goes into it. I think that for me, I don't have gradual declines as much as
just
off.
You break.
Yes. It's like, until, you know what I'm saying? It's like, even with my, my assistant, my director, sometimes I gotta, we're trying to master the let's get me out of here signal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, and that's within me. I have to figure out when I'm almost done. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's not until boop, oh, snap. I'm like, get away. You know what I'm saying? And so I think one, it might not be seen as much. And two, again, when you exist and your world is on the mountain, you still have that aspect of people only being able to look up or look down. And nobody's level because everybody in your life, you're doing better than they are. You're holding it together better than they are. You seem to be checking more boxes than they are checking, or you're paying them, or they're afraid of your opinion or your rage or your wrath, whatever it is. So there's not a lot of people that are just gonna look at you dead in the eye and say, "Wait a minute, I think you look tired." I know you just jumped around for 2 hours and for everybody, and you just shook hands and kissed babies for another hour, but I think you're tired. Let's just not do this.
And then when you get to that space too, you start getting resentful because no one sees you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you start getting angry. Like, how you just gonna ask me to do this next thing?
Exactly.
Like, why are you sending me this?
Yeah. It's like nobody actually cares about you. They just care about your ability to do what they know you're supposed to do.
Oh boy, I know that well.
Yeah.
Now, was therapy even a thought at this time, or was it just like, nah, I don't need that, I'm good?
I was I can't remember if I was in therapy at that time. But I'm probably soon after. Okay, for sure.
So, but I'm saying, were you one of the people? Because I know for me, when I was reaching my breaking point, I was afraid to go to therapy because I knew I wanted a Christian therapist, and I was scared that my therapist was
would know you,
me, and now I'm like, I can't tell you all this.
And that's one of the like untalked about things. When you get certain levels of celebrity or notoriety, you have less places you can go. You almost have to pay yourself into some level of privacy, some level of like, just so that when I go to this particular island or hotel, it's not, oh, hey, Lecrae's here.
Right.
And his wife looks mad. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? People are paying too much attention. You want to go somewhere where nobody knows your name.
Right.
And you can be very regular. And you can be terrible. You can be bummy. You can be sad. You can be tired. And it's not held against you. One of the things that I talked about in this book, and even in particular this episode, and my friend was there. The girl who was making the beef stew was there. I told them, I said, I was mad at them. I was jealous, not because they really did anything wrong, but because they could leave my presence. That's what made me mad. Y'all can go. Y'all don't have to deal with Jonathan McReynolds anymore. I have to live in this body at all times.
Ooh,
I can't get away from this nigga. I can't. Like, and so, like, it's just like, it's understanding that, there's a foreverness to this. It's like you don't clock out.
Yeah.
You don't clock out. Like the world is not necessarily going to allow you to clock out. So now you have to fight for that thing. You have to say, I don't care what y'all think. I'm coming down from this mountain.
Yeah.
Y'all might look at me and be like, dang, look at his hands. I didn't know they was going to be that beat up. Dang, I thought he was going to be taller than that. I thought he was going to be shorter than that. It sounded a little off key to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't even say hi to me when he walked by. He just kept walking. I knew he was a fraud. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy, but you got to come down.
Yeah.
And return to a valley, a place where you are not primarily a guy who takes care of stuff.
Yeah.
But you are primarily somebody that is being taken care of.
Ooh, that's a word right there. You can be.
Be.
Yeah.
Not do.
Yeah.
Not accomplish.
Yeah.
Not fix or maintain, protect, raise. Be.
Be. Yeah, it's funny as you're saying that, I think of like two interactions the first interaction is my first panic attack that I've ever had was at a Hawks game. And I was at a Hawks game, and I remember.
Dang, were they that bad?
Listen, that's another conversation.
I'm a Bulls fan, so I've had to deal with some stuff.
But yeah, oh yeah.
Relax.
Well, I'm just saying. Anyway,
Sorry.
I'm at this game, and I am panicking because I really want to watch this game. I really just want to enjoy this game. And there's an internal panic of someone interrupting me to like, Lecrae.
Absolutely.
Lecrae. And I was like on edge because I was like, what? Why am I tripping right now? What's going on with me? It was a small one, like a trimmer. And then fast forward, this is years ago, after therapy, whatever, coming down off the mountain, and I'm in a grocery store not too long ago, and somebody came up to me and was like, "What are you doing here?"
Right.
I like getting some cornflakes.
Hey, but they always want an explanation.
So I'm curious for you. You know, we're like a diamond, right? There's many facets to us, right? There's oftentimes people don't realize that about human beings, is that there's many facets of us, but generally people are exposed to a couple of facets of this diamond. And the ones that celebrity culture highlights are the best or the entertaining,
most marketable
aspects of this facet. What are those facets of your diamond that people love? And then what are the ones they don't see that you don't think they would love if they did see?
Sure. I mean, I think that, it's like a well of wisdom and encouragement. People love to tap that well. I'm grateful. It's weird to me sometimes. Like, God, you really, you always put some in there. You know what I'm saying? It just, how many times have people just said, "Can you just give us an encouraging word?" And you just have to be like, "Oh, God is good, and He loves you all." You know what I'm saying? Every single time there is something in there. You never be like, "Actually, I don't think I have one for you." No, and so they keep tapping at that wisdom, that encouragement, that they want the smile, they want the gift, they want all of that. They want you to be on, and they want you to be the same guy that was in that photo shoot, the same guy that was in the studio at that point or on stage. And all that is well and good, except when they clock out, they clock out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think that the fastest maybe that would be difficult for people, I think, I mean, there's plenty, I'm sure. I think one way I'm trying to make a little more space for one of them is by telling everybody I'm a little bit more of an introvert than they expected. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, man, it's not a heart thing. I love you. I'm still saved. But like, I really just be in my own world. And when you tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, I have to first like get out of my world. Like it's, I feel it. I wonder if it shows on my face sometimes. I'm sure it does. Sometimes I'm like, I guess I am in the airport and there's 1,000 people here. Let me snap out of it. I would say that, man, I don't want to go on a whole self-deprecating journey,
but
there's plenty of stuff, man. I'm journaling, I'm praying through it. Just
it wasn't like, they would disapprove of the way your feet smell. I just was curious, like,
I actually have decent smelling feet, which is incredible. I don't put any special attention there. It's just sometimes.
Listen, that's
luck of the draw.
That's for you and your feet to know. I was just making mention.
I didn't know if you wanted to.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But you gave it to me, and I wasn't interested. But that's fine.
You gotta be upfront with me.
It's
man.
okay.
Okay.
We moving on. Okay. The point I was trying to make is introversion is a good one because people do expect you to be extroverted and outspoken because they saw you on stage. And so they might disapprove of the fact that you like, I need my me time, you know? But I know, like, for myself, like, I don't think people want me to be thoughtful in some senses. Like I think they want me to think very linear and not like live in any kind of gray area or nuance. Like we don't want that.
Oh yeah,
And that's
good.
But that's
a really
me.
good one. That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one. There was a time I had this moment, and this is gonna be really weird, but I'm gonna say it because I can imagine you understand. I was in, let's just say, in a place. I was in a public place, and I was like, everybody was being nice. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Blah blah blah. Not on some,
Celebrity.
they know. Yeah, none of that. It's just regular. Just walking around shopping. And I thought to myself, I wonder how many of them would be this nice if they knew all of my beliefs. Or if they knew every bit, or they just knew what I was wrestling with right now. But they knew that I was not completely gung-ho about, or, just whatever. And I think there's so much of that, particularly when you are, first of all, Christian. And so you have a certain set of beliefs or desires for the world, and you recognize a lot of the world that doesn't really fit with it. And then you're black, and that's a whole nother bit of like, it's like y'all calling that Christianity,
right.
And it's like, but I can clearly see that that's not giving the intended benefits or the intended impact that you might think. You come in here young. I mean, there's so many things that absolutely I just choose to sit out. Now, I'm opinionated.
Yes.
I'm thoughtful.
Yes.
That I'm going to sit there and I'm going to research and I'm going to play devil's advocate to myself, and I'm going to see all sides of this thing. And sometimes, a lot of times, especially in some of these big cultural moments, I just shut up. Because I don't even feel like it. I don't feel like dying on this hill for all those people that have these extreme
perspectives,
non-well thought out thoughts.
Oh man.
Like, to me, it's really hard to be extreme if you think. To me, thinking is always going to pull something back a little bit. It's always going to be like, and I can see why. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always going to do that. And so, since I can't on so many issues get out there and scream as loud as you did, I just
be quiet,
chill out.
I wish somebody would have taught me that before I started. I spoke trying to convince people of things they was never gonna be convinced of historically, and I was like, oh, didn't know I was wasting my breath, casting my pearl before swine, so to speak. And
what's crazy is, I remember, Britt brought me this hot chocolate. Okay, I remember back when I was really young, 4 or 5 years old. My mother would take me to a restaurant up the street, and I would get hot chocolate. Hot chocolate would be too hot for me as a 5-year-old, and my mother would put an ice cube in there. Now, here's the thing: she didn't put lukewarm, thoughtful water into it. It took something to the other extreme to cool this stuff down.
Okay.
And so sometimes what is necessary to cool down this crazy culture, this crazy hot chocolate, is something that is almost equally ridiculous to fix that. And the people who are kind of in the middle being thoughtful and saying, well, it's more 70-30. It's more 60-40. It's more even 80-20. No, we don't move the needle quite as much.
Right.
And so it's almost like, let's let these extremes duke it out for
Y'all
a second.
fight each
Y'all
other.
fight each other in the big public square. Meanwhile, me and the moderates,
Well,
we're just gonna
we'll wait till you kill each other.
Exactly.
And then we'll live a regular
wait
back to a
until-
regular schedule.
We'll wait until the ice cube has melted. The hot chocolate is no longer hot.
Ooh.
And we'll try to make sense of this liquid that you have made.
That's a bar. Hold on. I really hope you've said this a million times before, because that was beautiful.
I've never said it before.
This man he's a writer. He's a lyricist.
Whatever.
That was amazing. Do you want another sip of coffee?
Do I need it?
I don't know.
All right, I'll take it.
You do? I don't know. I'm just trying to, you know what I'm saying? Give you some. You was talking about lukewarm and
Well, that coffee's pretty lukewarm at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
So I know you know what this feels like. Like being an artist, a public figure. You talked about it a little bit before. Like you always got to be on. They want you to smile. They want somebody introduce you to their kids, smile, say hello, and for me, I struggle sometimes with like how I'm going to interact with people, because authenticity is big to me. So one time I'm in the airport, I'm pushing a stroller, and I got a kid in my hand crying, and someone's like, "You think I can get a picture?" And I just did. That day, there was no like grace for me. There was no thought of me. There was nothing. But I still felt this pressure to be authentic or to please, because I was, I don't know what the fear was, but I said, "I'm sorry, this is just not a good time," and went on about my life. But I'm curious for you, like, do you feel like you straddle the fence of being inauthentic? Does that bother you to have to like be on?
For sure. I hate it.
Yeah.
And it's not that we hate meeting
People.
fans of our music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not what the problem is. The problem is what we then are called to do, regardless of our situation, regardless of how we got in there. Even when I have conversations, what's really funny is a lot of times I'll have conversations with people who say, "Wow, Jonathan, you were just so kind and nice. I appreciate it. You're so much better than so and so and so." And I say, "Tell me what happened with so and so and so." And they tell me what happened, and they didn't even want to give me a hug or anything like that. And I'm like, well, we were in the middle of a pandemic. Maybe that's why they didn't want to give you a hug. Or maybe they just came from work. Or maybe they were on their way to work and stuff was on their mind. Maybe their dog died. Maybe they're not feeling well. Like all those things that is part of how the mountain and being viewed as your mountain, it chokes the humanity out of your experience in life. You don't get to be human. You only get to be what is on the mountain. What that particular pursuit, that particular facet of who you are. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to know about all the other stuff except in how it affects the facet that they care about. And so, yeah, I think that for me, and again, introvert, half the time, not even on earth, like just completely thinking about something else. And I'm tired, whatever. And yeah, man, there's a lot of times I'll like catch. This has been happening in the past year or two a lot. People just they got a camera like this.
They got police cameras on you.
I'm like, could you stop? Like there's nothing more unnerving than that, man. That's like just run up to me and slap me across the face. That's better. But to like look around and be like, person just like, yeah, I'm here and I see him right now. Look at him. It's like, what in the cheaters is going on? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are these hidden cameras set up? And so it's just, I think that for me, we have to give ourselves room to just be human. There is always this idea that, oh my goodness, am I not stewarding this artist thing well? God gave me this opportunity, and if I don't smile at everybody, I'm not doing right by it. I think that in the valley, you are reminded of how God actually looks at you. And he probably doesn't look at you as Grammy award-winning artist. He just looks at you as son. And so if anybody you can go be authentic to and say, yo, am I authentically an issue here? Am I messing this thing up? It's with him.
Yeah.
And so reminding myself that I'm not here to please people, even if they do stream the record, is what gets me back to not just a place of now I can be authentic, but actually it takes some pressure off and I might actually authentically have more energy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not holding the weight of the world on my shoulders.
That's really good. I'm curious, and I don't. This is not to be slanderous or anything,
Uh-oh.
but historically, I mean, you don't see gospel artists being authors, being theologians, and trying to think through how their views on God affect their journey, their walk. And I'm not saying you're perfect. I'm not saying you've done it right. But what I'm saying is you've been very intentional. Whereas when I pull the curtain back in the gospel world, oftentimes I see a lot of very talented individuals who were thrown on a stage, and they're not really challenged to be intentional or to think through the things that you're thinking of. I'm curious for you, what do you see your role in all of that? How do you perceive that reality, and how do you see yourself in it all?
Did you just call all of us gospel singers dumb?
No.
That's what I feel like you did.
No, what
Dumb,
I'm saying is
shallow.
No.
This is what Lecrae said.
No,
Lecrae said
that's
if you
not.
sing gospel, you probably are. No, I'm just playing.
What I'm saying is we know the people
I know what you mean. I know what
who
you're
is like, hey, you ain't really got to worry about how you live your life.
Okay.
Don't get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Sing well,
Mm-hmm.
and know how to testify when the time is right.
Yeah.
And then go do whatever else you want to do.
Yeah.
You tend to push back on that. You're like different. You don't, it's like, wait, why is he preaching on his IG? Why is he teaching? Why is he writing a book? Why is he like, you don't have to do all that, bro. You can just make the good songs and say the right thing on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you perceive that in light of everything that you've experienced growing up?
I mean, well, first of all, I just want to always admit that I've absolutely made 3 non-believers worth amount of sin.
Sure.
Okay? Whether you are privy to it or not,
Mm-hmm.
God is, I am, and I thank God every day for grace and mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray every day that it doesn't burn the house down.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope is that how high I get to go in this life is more about humility and hunger than it is my history. Because if it's about my history,
We all cooked.
yeah.
We cooked.
And so I just want to say that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how a lot of other gospel artists are singing or living. I will say that historically, I agree with you. There has been a level of, it's a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a level of accomplish this here on in this church, and we don't really care about anything. And that's kind of the biggest issue. My mother said to me that she was like, "What's the most forgotten person in church? What's the most forgotten soul in church?" And I was like, "I don't know, the prostitute, the drug dealer. I don't know." She's like, "No, there's plenty of programs for them. It's the celebrity."
Mm.
As soon as you get to a level of renown or utility, usefulness in the church, they stop caring about your soul right then and there. Your gift becomes more important. And unfortunately, us as artists, we have the propensity to believe that. Like once people start treating us, man, you know how many times I scheduled my sin to at least give me a day off before I had to sing. Because getting up there the day after, oh, that just feels bad.
Yep.
But even if there was a day after performance, it went amazing. Oh my goodness. People were brought to God. People were crying. All of that, everything went fine.
Yeah.
And all of that can preach to us that we are 2 distinct entities.
Yeah.
A corporate one that has its own tax, and then your personal one. And as long as you keep them distinct, people can sue the mess out of the corporate one and it's not going to affect you personally, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so I think that for a lot of us, I don't want to blame anybody.
Yeah.
But it is something that can easily be preached to us as we realize that the thing that we care about the most is not by God's grace and mercy, but also just by the way the world is set up. It's not being killed by every mistake we make.
Yes. Absolutely.
And God has always given us a little bit of grace here. He has a plan here.
Yeah.
And it boggles our minds sometimes and can jack us up when we realize we don't deserve to be up here, but maybe we do. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm better than I think. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm living a more flawless life than I thought. And so I think there's a lot of that. But for me, it's just the way I am, man. It's the way I'm wired. You saying like, what's the difference? Why do I even care about this stuff? Well, first of all, I didn't think about being a musician. You talk about your story all the time, and being a Christian rapper was not on the bingo card at some point. For me, I'm a nerd. Being music was like always in the background. I was doing it, but man, I wanted to be a meteorologist. I wanted to do computer engineering. I wanted to be anything else. I had business cards when I was 6. I had a briefcase. I had one of them early organizers, a little data pad. Like,
sorry.
What is there a problem? You got a problem?
No, you got a
Are you judging
briefcase.
Lecrae?
I'm absolutely judging your little briefcase business card carrying yourself. Hello, I'm Jonathan McReynolds.
Pretty much. Like, not even that much of an exaggeration there. Voice is probably higher. But yeah, man, that's who I was. And so getting into this music thing, I think it's been very important that even for my own peace, not even for what everybody saw, but for my own peace, there has to be room to do something other than music, because that's always been like my heart is here.
Yeah.
Music is right here.
Yeah.
You can shoot at the music. I'm still gonna live.
That's right.
But my heart has always been with the exchange of knowledge and thinking and wisdom and teaching and learning. Like, that's just always been who I am.
That's good.
So I'm just grateful that God has given me space to do it.
Yeah.
Lecrae has given me space to do it. People have just realized, yeah, he's different than us. Maybe we think he's a little weird, but whatever he ends up doing, it makes sense by the end of it. So let's just let him do what he's gonna do.
I love it. To me, and I wasn't trying to shade the gospel music industry by any shape.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
and I think that's what they'll hear.
Okay. Well,
Headline:
what I'm trying to say
Lecrae
is that
hates
I have been on stage
gospel
with some of the most amazing gospel artists ever. And I have seen how they are revered and respected just for their vocal ability.
Yeah.
But when they get off that stage, they don't feel a responsibility to be anything more than that. And that's okay, right? They don't have to be anything more than that, but don't be like the struggle I've had is how people will exalt them to a place where it's like, yo, don't fall into the trap of letting them believe that you are this pristine person when you know you got your junk. You know what I mean? And that's the trap of celebrity a lot of times. No one is expecting Cardi B to be a saint. But when you get out there and you're singing holiness is what I long for, and you got people in tears, there's probably an expectation that this is really the way you feel. You know what I mean? Like,
and is it not?
We would hope so.
It might be.
That's what I'm saying. But no one cares. I've been on stage and sang holiness, and then my browser history looks like trash, right? By all means, like I don't paint the perfect picture. I think that the desire I have for artists is to not just feel like as long as I'm doing this thing, I'm good.
I think what you're hitting at is humility. I think so growing up in a place like Chicago, where it's not a fluffing up city. Like nobody's gassing you. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, if they see you, at least this is my experience, if they see you being quote unquote grand, they're gonna call that out. You know what I'm saying? It's not a place where you're allowed to not be humble. You know what I'm saying? In a form of humbleness.
Yeah.
And so you start thinking that humble is just not saying that you're good at something. Humble is being, oh no, you got it, bro. No, man, I'm terrible. I'm so bad at this. You're much better. And we think that's what humble is. But humble, I think, is more along the lines of the way you look at your place in the world and who put you there, how you got there. And I feel like it's very easy when you are lifted up to start losing humility.
That's right.
It's not even about a doctrinal problem, a theological problem. Everybody still knows that God is God and that his word is his word and we should be following it and we shouldn't be doing this and we should be doing that. All of us know that intellectually. But a lot of times it's the pride that we are. I mean, if everybody's ho, and you start rising to the top, you forget. Your view of the world is so different up there.
Yeah.
And you start, at some point, you climb the mountain high enough, you're above the clouds.
That's right.
You're above the weather.
Yeah.
It rains on everybody else, not me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that a lot of times, I think what you're getting at is not why don't they write the books? Why don't they live this thing out, whatever. I think it's not as much of an intellectual thing or what, because a lot of them, they've been singing since they were 3. Like, this is what they know. The issue is a lot of times they've been good since they were 7. So they've been lifted up for a long time. And it's actually just a humility issue.
That's good.
And that's scary because God is not mad at the person who doesn't use all aspects of their brain and gift nearly as much as he is to the person that's prideful.
That's good. I think it's like I'm coming across a lot like probably an intellectual classist, and that's not my intention. What I was trying to do is say you're very intentional, and I appreciate that. Everyone's not wired to be that intentional, but I would hope that you would see your role in that as somebody that people can say, oh, thank you. You know, like you serve them well because you messed up too. You've done the same. I mean, so they can relate. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of artists don't feel that freedom to be honest because there's not a safe place to be honest. And there's some artists who don't want to be free. That's another conversation.
Yeah, man. I don't think that you come off as an intellectual classist, even though we know you're brilliant. But I think that you being a thinking type person, the more you know you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a humility that comes every time you try to expand your world even a little bit. You realize how small you are.
That's good. Absolutely.
If you keep your world small, you can feel big.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in front of the same yes people every week, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're gonna feel like you're the man all the time. But I think that your life, you've gone into rooms where in one room you were Michael Jackson, and in another room you were Tito, in another room you were just Tito's
side man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Give me some water.
Yeah, right. Are you to help?
Yeah.
No, I'm here to actually sing with blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that expanded world has really ripped a lot of the possible pride out of you. And glory be to God for that.
Yeah.
Because when you do make a mistake and when you do, not show up in the most godly way, your fall is a lot shorter and not quite as hard.
That's good.
And it's like everybody could be like, oh, well, we know Lecrae. Yeah, that was jacked up, but that's our guy. As opposed to, dang, you see that comet, that meteor? That was Lecrae's prideful behind.
So what does multiple Grammy Award winning author Jonathan McReynolds tell I just got in the studio for the first time to put out my first real piece of music? What would you tell yourself, this version of you? What are you going to tell him?
Ooh. What am I going to tell him? I really need to tell him that he's so much better than he knows. As a person and as an artist. I need to tell him that the reason why he didn't hear it was not because it was up in the air or the jury was still out.
Mm-hmm.
It was because everybody was sure he already knew.
That's some good encouragement. Let me ask you this, because I hadn't thought about that. Encouragement is absolutely something I would have needed. What would you warn him about the climb? Hit that
There's
button.
so many things.
I mean, yeah, give me any of them.
How much time we got? I would warn him about intimacy. I would warn him and tell him that I would tell him to start cultivating it in smart, godly places. I would tell him that it's going to be cold up there. It's going to be a little isolated up there. And to learn to just love yourself in your own company.
Wow. Do you think that that version of you thought that there was going to be this like amazing community that was going to exist up there and embrace him and love him?
A little bit. And not so much a community, but Lecrae, a father. I don't think it was so much a community. I think it was a blueprint. I think it was an elder to make sense of it. For so long, I had to be what I didn't have. I had to, God broke the mold on me. And I know that sounds like I get
what you're saying.
Like a confident, boastful statement. But no, like everything has been different. Everything has been
and different don't always mean good. It means hard sometimes.
Well, yeah, most of the time. Everything's uncharted. Imagine if every piece of land that you ever gotten had weeds all over it. You know what I'm saying? Before you can even build the house, you gotta cut all these trees down, and you gotta get some electricity out here and some water pipe. Like, and you spend so much time working on parts that people don't even get to see. And that's just who I am. Honestly, that's who you are. And there's so much work you had to do just for the underground machinery before you could even build a cool mansion. By then, you were a little tired. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you were literally tired, but I mean, like, I'm sure that there's so much of the Lecrae output that is underground that people aren't even getting to see. If you were able to just build on land that was already prepared for a house, you'd be in a skyscraper. But so much of the work just came from hacksawing these trees down because this is uncharted land. And so for me, like, I was hoping that at some point, some elder would see me chopping away at trees and be like, son,
This is how this is done.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
And it never came.
Yeah, never came from me either.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Kirk Franklin. Where was you at? We both needed you.
You know, I low-key got mad at Kirk.
I did too.
Yeah. The thought in a lot of the issue with maybe music in general, and maybe in a lot of things, maybe in other facets of business too, is that you see these guys who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s while you're in your 20s, and you're like, yes, you're gonna be like a uncle or pops. And they're like, no, I'm big bro. It's like, no, I wanna come play Power Rangers with you. It's like, wait. No, I don't. You've done this. You already have 20 Grammys. You already done this. You already done that. You got a wife. You got kids. You're doing all the things that I want to be able to do one day. Can you just tell me how you did it or whatever? And no, actually, they're in the sandbox with you. You know what I'm saying? And they are fighting for the pail and the bucket themselves. And it's like,
right.
You already have like 20 buckets.
Oh my gosh.
And that's just one facet of it. I'm not gonna, blame it all on that. But there definitely was an expectation that somewhere along this journey, whether it was in life or in career, I would find the father figure that I never had. Like the clear father figure.
Woo. Boy, that's a whole nother message in and of itself.
Here's the crazy part. There have been younger artists that have wanted some uncling or dadding out of me. And I missed it. Or I didn't feel worthy. Or I didn't feel established enough. Whatever it was. No matter what they thought of me and what they thought of my accomplishments and what they thought of who I had already become and whatever, that doesn't mean that I felt that way. And so it actually, as much as we might have looked for it from the Kirks and the Freds and all these great people who are, Donnies, you know what I'm saying? Smokies, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, there's some folks out there that were looking at it from me. And, I failed them in a way. And so one thing I'm learning is that everybody has been really generous with me with what they had.
That's good.
And one of the biggest problems in this gospel world, this Christian music world, this church world, is that everybody is projecting what they think you have.
Ooh, that'll preach.
The people who don't sing are projecting what they think we have. And I was projecting on the elders too. What I think they should have.
Having no idea what's going on in their world.
I have no idea what's happening in their world.
Yeah, that's good.
What's happening in their heart. And one thing I have figured out about all of them, Kirk especially, what he has, he will give it.
Amen. Amazing. All right. I want to read you some lyrics. And yeah, I just want to know where you were during this time. Where were you learning about yourself? What was God showing you?
Cold water we drink, hot water we cook. But lukewarm water.
Oh, them ain't my lyrics. Them is my lyrics. Shut up.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why hot chocolate was on my mind.
Shut up. Well, I can just give you let's go with the title of this song. Like No Gray. Where were you at? What's going on in your mind? Lord, I'm split in two. Parts of me loves the world. The other part loves you. Is that lyrics? Is that reality? Is that past? Was that in the moment? Like where?
Completely in the moment, man.
Okay.
Freshman year of college, sophomore year of college. Completely in the moment, man. Like going to college, having a little more freedom and privacy, own dorm room, the most beautiful, amazing, brilliant girls I've ever seen in my life. And on one hand, being seen as a church boy, and on the other hand, being seen as kind of a, player. And I didn't realize I was doing that bad. Yeah. I didn't realize I was doing that bad. I didn't know I was making that much impact. But it was enough for me to be like, dang, I probably should like work on something. Because as a Christian, especially one that grows up in church, now I know your story is a lot more darkness to lighty.
Yeah.
But for us, it's kind of like light to light. Like,
Yeah,
we never
yeah.
felt that whole, dang,
Yeah.
I hit rock bottom.
Right.
And that makes it really it's kind of deceptive because you assume that you're in right standing with God. You assume you have whatever the relationship is that we're supposed to have because you grew up in it. And no, I think around No Gray, I was trying to really figure out what does it mean to be a child of God and not like a grandchild of God. Where it was all handed to
God
me.
ain't got no grandkids, right?
None.
So in college, were you experiencing like campus fame, or was it like?
Nah, I don't think it was. I wouldn't. No, I don't think it got around that. Maybe music department.
Okay.
Respect. Like he's doing his thing. We look to him in that way.
Yeah.
And maybe there was more. I just wasn't privy to it.
Okay.
I
Did you know?
I
guess I'm
stayed
saying,
in the room and
you
I was
a,
working.
A young Christian man who's a musician. Did you know you were a commodity, or were you like, what? They like me?
No, I didn't know.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
Wow.
I think that people don't believe that I didn't know.
Wow.
And I don't think I always know now, like as much as I should. I'm not saying I don't know to some extent, but I think that.
Hold on, time out.
I'm just.
Time out. You are a man who loves Jesus, successful beyond, like, first of all, the fact that you can live off of music is success.
Very true.
You have sold out tours in theaters, multiple Grammy Awards, and your brain doesn't think you're a commodity.
No. I mean, okay. What I'm saying is I'm sure that I still undersell myself even now.
Really?
Underestimate myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure I'm not always truly engaged with my power.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I don't.
Which
I
is
know
great,
I don't have any.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I think that there probably still is a part that I'm just like, nah, they not tripping like that. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Or I mean, that'll roll off there. One thing that I was just talking to a friend about recently was I didn't realize how much my opinion of people matters to them. And what they just perceive to be my opinion of them. Like, it's amazing. Like
Jonathan McReynolds.
But what I'm saying is like, yeah, so that means, so it's not even just, being a commodity. It's just about that people really care. And if they see, if you didn't give them the same hug that you gave them last week, they're wondering if something happened. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I'm sure that I'm working on becoming even more aware of that.
Okay.
Real talk. And back then, yeah, in college, no, I was like, really?
All right. There's so many ways to go. We just got to go underwater immediately. So we got to go underwater.
I can plead the fifth whenever I want.
You can, but I like this. We're going to start light. You were talking to my cousin Tim Ross. You said ain't nothing in the Bible about a CEO. Right? You remember this conversation? Can you expound a little bit about what you meant by that?
Yeah, so like, I think that, again, when I'm looking for a dad, I'm looking for a blueprint. I'm looking for something that's going to speak directly to what I'm dealing with and what I'm going through. So I start looking in the Bible for very mountain-specific things, very CEO-specific things, very Grammy Award-specific things, and a lot of us are assuming there's a special section. And honestly, some of what's wrong with church today in a lot of people's eyes is that you have preachers that are finding the little one overly inspirational verse that they can kind of take out of context to kind of feed the people what they really want. And that's a special section.
Yeah.
I want a special section.
Okay.
But I didn't find much in there.
Yeah.
Everything was actually toward the daughters and sons of God. It wasn't like if you identify as a, excellent black man, Here's your
Scriptures.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like, hey, help me navigate this new space that I'm in.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in there that's doing that. And I thought that was keen because I've done the same thing, which is funny. And what I came back with
you
was...
my big brother, Lecrae.
They
already said we look alike.
Right. So listen, I'm just telling you what I've gotten.
Everything I go through, you've gone through.
What I've gotten is, if you are a priest, there are specifics. You wear this, you do this, you go in the temple, you go out the temple, this is what you do. If you're a king, there are none. And so the king is really left to just have the heart of God and really want to love them scriptures. So it's almost like, oh shoot, you're not gonna give me A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's like, nah, I'm gonna just tell you to love God, love people, and figure it out.
Yeah. So and I talk about it a little bit in the book. There's greatness and there's goodness. So when I was a kid, remember, I'm a nerd. I am a little precocious kid. All right. And so God is great. God is good. Let us thank him for our food. Okay. That was the riddle, right? That was our verse. And it always weirded me out a little bit that great came before good. It was like, how did he start off as great and then end up as good? If anything, let's go up. God is good. God is great. You know what I'm saying? That was the next verse. Let's thank him for his plate or whatever. But as far as that little bit, it was odd to me back then that greatness seemed to not be as good as goodness. And if you actually think about man's idea of greatness, statue, Billboard, Grammy, greatness is not anywhere as long-lasting as the stuff God calls good. And what God is spending a lot of time in the Bible doing is calling us to goodness. Now, the world calls us to greatness. We call ourselves to greatness. We want our moms to see greatness. We want our exes to see greatness and be jealous. We want our friends to see greatness. But God, he says we'll do some great things, but he called us to goodness.
That's good.
The things that are important to him are more around being patient and long-suffering and kind and enduring this and enduring that, not being able to pay so much that you don't have to. Like, that's not, if anything, the poor and the meek and the lowly, they had a very straight, clear line to God.
Yeah.
The rich ones, like Lecrae, it's harder for him to get to the kingdom
Harder
than a camel through the eye of a needle.
It's hard.
And
I admit
so,
it. It's tough.
yeah, man.
I hope I get in. Because it's a lot of...
it's a lot of diamonds that you're wearing.
Okay. Anyway,
You don't have to take those off.
I'm curious, though. You saying all this, goodness, our idea of greatness is different than God's standard of greatness. But in the eyes of the world, you have achieved greatness, right?
You think so? Thank you, bro. I mean, that on a real level, I appreciate that
Absolutely.
from you.
Yes, you've achieved greatness in the eyes of the world. I was at the Tabernacle. That was greatness that you've
thank
achieved.
you.
Yes. I'm curious because I have a son. He's going off to school in a couple years. He's immediately going to be perceived as great, right? You come from, you already got money. Oh, your daddy is so-and-so.
He's probably going to be over 6 feet.
He's already 6'2",
Oh, see?
right? How does he navigate the ladies? Because see, I don't know what to tell him. My wife was with me when I did not have greatness. I guess what I'm saying is, if women instantly see greatness, is there a buffer? Do you have a tactic? What do you do? Like, are you like, hey, do you know who I am? No, never met you. Yes.
A little bit.
Really?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Wow.
And now let me preface all this by saying I've made all the possible mistakes.
We know. All you're doing right now, let me tell you what he's doing. He's prepping every woman that he's ever broken their heart right now, so they don't be like, I know he lying, he ain't.
No, I'm not gonna be lying.
No, I'm joking with
but
you.
I'm just saying that. But I think that
ideally, if it was ideal, obviously we haven't done anything ideally.
I talked to. I remember I just did a residency at Columbia, which is my old school, and which is where I teach for a whole week. And I could see the me's of the room. I could see the guys that, whether they visibly believe the hype or buy the hype or not, you can see the girls like, oh shit, and he's just, you know what I'm saying? And I pulled one of them to the side. I was like, hey man, I just want you never to believe this. Just don't believe it. Like, if you see it, ignore it. Just ignore it. Like I hope this doesn't offend anybody, because please know my heart. I liken it to a drunk girl. And now, to me, there are some men that go off and they see a vulnerable drunk girl and they say, I'm going to go talk to her. Watch me get her. And she's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And he's like, see? And he feels accomplished because he bagged
Somebody
the drunk girl.
who was drunk.
Drunk.
Yes.
Now, in this line of work, especially in Christendom, they're probably not actually drunk on alcohol, but they are drunk on something else. And
perception.
Drunk on perception, drunk on the music, drunk on the utter inspiration that just happened. Drunk on the height, drunk on the looks, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Drunk on, and I think for a lot of people, it's drunk on this idea of a future life together. Remember, guys are a lot more in the moment. Ladies be looking down the road.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I was never the kid planning my wedding.
Right.
My,
you know what
my
I'm saying?
sisters, on the other hand, is
they have.
oh, when I get married, and
It's gonna look like this. It's gonna feel like that.
no.
I bet our kids look like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so drunk on that, and I don't get anything. And I've trained myself not to get anything out of that.
That's good.
Conquest.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? And so what I would say to your son is, hey man, look, you could probably get all the drunk girls you want. You're probably smooth enough, smart enough, cool enough to do that. But what did you accomplish?
And does she really like you?
Does she really like you? And what about when she's no longer drunk? Right, when she's no longer drunk. I just never got off on cheat codes. Like, I want to finish this game on expert level the way it is. Don't give me no extra cheat codes, because now that's throwing me off. No, that's no longer objective. And I always just want to know where I truly am, and to find the woman, the friends, the whatever in your life that aren't going to inflate it for you. They're not going to be so drunk with the clout and drunk with the chance to sit in the front row that they don't ever just tell you who you are. That's what I would tell them to try to discern.
Absorb.
Yeah.
What about the one that tries to deflate you intentionally to let you know?
That's also out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that.
Like, just so you know.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much of that. That was actually the first thing I had to heal from. That's one of the first things I had to just deal with, because it was weird to me, especially 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm really not even seeing myself as this. I don't have nearly as much baggage or just weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't made nearly as many mistakes. And I'm just like, what is y'all problem? Like, what? And they were just assuming that this is who I am based off of what I am.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hate that. Just immediately shut that down.
Okay. So I got to ask it. And you can plead the fifth if you want to. But time and time again, there are a million single women who ask me to hook them up with somebody. And they're like, don't you got no friends? I was like, shawty, my friends is 35 and up. Like, it ain't but a handful of them left out there. You are successful, Christian, and yet not a married man. Is that because you're like, what is the why? Do you have a why? Or is it just like, it's just, hey man, God's
I think there's
timing.
a lot of whys, man. I think there's a lot of whys.
Is there an overarching, like, okay, well, I'll let you answer your own question. And why you think, let me say this. When I was single starting my career off,
Mm-hmm.
I remember I knew I was a commodity, right? I knew it. I was like, okay, I know these girls want to be with me. I think my struggle was I had choice overload. It was like, but who do I choose?
Mm-hmm.
And so I got some of the worst advice, but it worked for me by my one of the ministers. He said, just pick one of them. And I was like, that's the worst advice
I've heard that.
ever.
I've heard that.
But
It might not be that bad.
I don't know about that, bro. I could have went way bad, but I'm just curious, like,
I do think that I wish that I have found them early.
okay.
Now, would I have done quite as much, accomplished quite as much,
Right.
spend as much time or money doing what I'm doing if they were there at 22, 23? Probably not. So in some ways, this part was able to thrive because of that.
Absolutely.
But now that this part has grown to be a teenager, there's a lot more to consider.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, when a lady has children and she's still single out here, she has to consider them when she's picking a man. And also they take from her and maybe cause her to show up not always amazingly to this guy. She has to watch how they interact with him and how he interacts with them. It's just a lot.
That's profound.
And why? Because this person was birthed out of them, and they are called to raise them and protect them and steward them.
Yeah.
That's what my career, my music, all that is for me.
Yeah.
And it just always hasn't been straightforward.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say that it's how they interact with the kid. It's what the kid takes out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how much do I have left?
And on top of that, how your kid will affect them. Like, is that fair to them?
How my kid affects them.
Yeah.
I think, man, in order to be a man and come into a situation with a woman who already has kids, you need to be a secure man. You need to know that there's some other dude that she has to talk to. There's some other situation that she has to tend to. There's going to be a lot of moments where those kids look at you and say, "You ain't my daddy." And
yeah, man.
And that takes a lot of security. That takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of whatever. And there might even be some times where that single mom says, "I care about these kids more than you right now." You know what I'm saying? And so I think all of that, I'm just trying to build the metaphor in a way that like people can see that my situation is not that unique.
Yeah.
Maybe the situation is unique, but its effect on me is not that unique. And the toll that can take on dating, the toll that takes on my evaluation process, the toll that takes on my character, even while I'm doing it. I'm not always proud of all that.
Yeah.
And so I would just say that I have about a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Special needs.
and that's actually respect. I respect that.
Yeah.
Because this climb has beat my wife up. And she didn't ask for it. She didn't ask to be a celebrity. She didn't ask for public opinion. She didn't ask to go to these award shows and have people critiquing her dress. She didn't ask for celebrity women sliding in my DMs. She didn't ask for none of that. And yet, that's the child that she...
And honestly, you didn't ask for a lot of that.
Exactly. I sure didn't.
You wouldn't even know how to prep her.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And it was like, oh, shoot. So I can see that. And that makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. So essentially, what you're saying is tell all the single women who are asking me if I have a friend that's single that yes, he is, but he got a kid that he got a stay-at-home kid with special needs.
Very special needs.
Okay.
Special need every kid.
And they'd be like, oh, okay.
I got to keep that kid
Let
from
me consider that.
running out in the middle of the street.
Okay. Hold on, wait before this go crazy. We don't need no problems. Slow them down. Nah, man. I appreciate you, bro. Like, I think your story is genuine. I think, like I said, I'm a buy this for somebody. I think your story is genuine. I think, people, regardless of what climb you're dealing with in life, I think this is beneficial. We all have to deal with that reality that once you get above there's just clouds, and above those clouds is another mountain. And you're like, what the heck? My hands is, so I love the fact that you like, let me come down. And thank you for sharing life. And
Yes,
also, this is good for me. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it.
You're my brother, man. It's my honor.
It's love.
This is The Deep End with Lecrae.